The sky over the Pacific was calm, too calm. Captain Riley Thorne knew that kind of silence. She'd seen it before storms, before battles, before disaster. But today wasn't supposed to be any of those. Today was supposed to be simple. Her C-17 Globemaster sat on the tarmac at Drake Island Air Base, engines humming in low idle, the metal belly loaded with wounded soldiers and medical teams. Not cargo. Not weapons. People. People who just wanted to go home. Riley walked under the wing, running her fingers over the cool gray fuselage. "Last evac flight of the season," she whispered. "Then I go home too." She hadn't been home in 2 years. 2 years of airlifts, night runs, evacuation missions, and watching too many young soldiers loaded onto stretchers. But this time she had a promise waiting for her. Her mother's voice still echoed in her mind from the last video call. "Come home alive, Riley. I don't care how. Just come home." Riley smiled at that, then heard footsteps behind her. Major Ortiz approached, helmet in hand, face tight. "Captain, we've got a situation." Riley's heart dropped. "What now?" Ortiz motioned her aside. "Satellite picked up enemy aircraft moving toward the island. No comms from our escort flight. Base command wants your evac wheels up, immediately." Riley froze. "No escort? You want me to take a C-17 with wounded aboard straight into hostile airspace?" Ortiz swallowed. "We don't have a choice. We're out of time." She clenched her jaw. Of course. There was always a moment like this. A moment where courage and responsibility collided. Riley turned toward the aircraft ramp. Inside, medics hurried between stretchers. 4 bags swayed gently from hooks. The dim red lights cast long shadows over exhausted faces. She climbed aboard. The air smelled like antiseptic, sweat, and fear. A young private looked up at her, face pale and tired. "Ma'am, we're really going home, right?" Riley knelt beside him. "Yes," she said softly. "I'll get you all home. Even if it killed her." Take off. Minutes later, the C-17 roared down the runway. The giant aircraft pulled free of the earth, lifting into a sky painted orange by the setting sun. Riley leveled at 5,000 feet, engine steady, hands firm on the controls. "Navigator ETA?" she asked. 2 hours to friendly waters," he replied. "If we stay low, we stay off radar." Her co-pilot, Lieutenant Pierce, glanced over. "You think they'll come for us?" Riley didn't look at him. "They will. But they won't get us." She hoped she believed that. She adjusted her headset, and then a sharp, angry alarm screamed through the cockpit. "Radar lock." Pierce's eyes went wide. "Impossible, we're flying nap of the Earth." A cold shiver ran down Riley's spine. The enemy wasn't searching. They already knew where she was. She slammed the throttle forward. "Brace the cargo bay. We've got inbound fighters." Behind them, soldiers and medics clutched their stretchers as the aircraft vibrated violently. Some shouted. Some prayed. Riley didn't pray. She flew. Clouds ripped past the cockpit windows as she pushed the C-17 beyond its comfort zone, lower, faster, threading through mountain ridges like she was flying a fighter jet. Pierce checked the threat display. "Captain, 3 bogeys. Fast. Gaining." Riley's mouth went dry. 3 enemy fighters against a wounded transport aircraft. No escort. No weapons. No way out. Unless she made one? "Okay," she whispered. "Last flight home. One more impossible mission." She glanced toward the wounded soldiers behind her. Toward their exhausted faces. Toward the young private who asked if they were really going home. Riley eased her grip on the controls. "They're going home," she murmured. "I won't let anyone stop that." She rolled the massive aircraft into a tight banking turn. A maneuver a C-17 should never attempt. Dust exploding from the hills as the tail nearly scraped the ground. Pierce gasped. "Riley! What the hell are you doing?" She stared straight ahead, eyes cold and focused. "Giving us a chance?" And just as the first enemy fighter dropped into view behind them, missile lock screaming in their ears, Captain Riley Thorne prepared to fight for her last flight home. The first missile streaked past the cockpit like a burning spear, white smoke curling behind it as it exploded harmlessly into a mountain ridge. The shockwave jolted the entire C-17. Soldiers in the cargo bay shouted. Equipment rattled. 4 bags swung wildly. Riley gripped the controls so tightly her knuckles went white. Pierce cursed. They fired already? We were barely in range. How did they get toned that fast? They weren't locking, Riley said, voice low and steady. They already had us. Her stomach tightened. Someone had leaked their evac route. This wasn't an interception. It was an ambush. Another alarm blared. Missile lock. Brace! Riley shouted. The second missile came in low, skimming the terrain like a hunting hawk. Riley dropped the C-17 sharply, an insane maneuver for a transport aircraft loaded with wounded soldiers. Metal groaned. The wings flexed dangerously. The jet shuddered like it might break apart. But the missile overshot, losing lock as it bounced off the radar shadow of a mountain slope. Pierce stared at her. You shouldn't even know how to do that. Riley didn't answer. But she remembered the old days. The days of her first life, before she left the fighter wings behind. The days when she flew F-15s and was one of the best. The days before the incident that ended her combat career. She shoved those memories aside. Status on the wounded? She asked. Pierce checked the rear camera. Turbulence hit them hard. Medics are stabilizing. But if we take another shockwave... We won't, Riley said. But even she wasn't sure. The hunters appear. 3 enemy fighters sliced through the sky above them, sleek, predatory silhouettes. They descended in a perfect attack triangle. 1 behind. 1 above. 1 to the right flank. Merciless. Textbook. These guys are trained, Pierce whispered. Not raiders. Not militia. These are military-grade pilots. Riley swallowed hard. Not just military. Elite. We're slow, heavy, and unarmed, Pierce continued. We can't outrun them. We can't outgun them. What's the plan? Riley pulled the C-17 into a weaving path, hugging the terrain. First rule of flying a transport into a fight, she said. You don't fight like a transport. The radio crackled, hostile, cold. Unidentified C-17, you are ordered to cut engines and prepare to be boarded. Resist, and you will be destroyed. Pierce looked at Riley. Boarded? They want the wounded, alive. Riley's jaw clenched. This wasn't about the evac. This was a capture mission. And she would die before letting them take her people. She flipped the radio switch. Negative. Evac flight. Not surrendering. There was a short, almost amused pause. Then you will not survive. The fighter dive. The first enemy fighter dove toward them, cannon fire streaking past the left side of the C-17. Tracer rounds crackled like lightning. Riley jerked the controls, swinging the huge aircraft into a side slit. The jet nearly rolled, but she held it steady. Pierce's eyes bulged. You're flying a 280,000-pound cargo jet like it's an F-15. Riley didn't respond. But she was. Every instinct in her bones, the instincts she tried to bury, came alive again. The sky became a battlefield. Clouds turned into cover. Mountains became shields. Valleys became corridors of survival. The enemy fighter reappeared on their right, preparing for another gun run. Riley dove into a narrow ravine. Riley! Pierce yelled. We don't fit! Trust me. The wings barely cleared the canyon walls. Dust shot up behind them as they scraped through at impossible speed. The fighter chased, but couldn't dive low enough. Riley pulled the jet up sharply at the end of the ravine. The enemy pilot misjudged. Boom! He clipped the canyon wall. The jet exploded in a fireball that shook the sky. Pierce stared in shock. 1 down. My God, Riley! How did you learn maneuvers like that? Riley kept her eyes ahead. I used to fly something smaller. The second wave. But there was no time to breathe. The second fighter dropped from the clouds like a predator bird, cutting across their path. He was smarter. More cautious. He'd learned from the first one's mistake. Riley banked left, using the mountains to block missile lock. Pierce checked the monitor. He's positioning for a side shot. If he angles in. I know, she said. Another alarm shrieked. Missile lock. He had angle. Hold on. She jammed the throttle. The C-17 roared, actually roared, as she pushed it into a climbing spiral the aircraft was never meant to perform. The engine screamed. The fuselage trembled. Medics braced themselves on the floor. The missile fired. It streaked upward. Riley cut power. The missile overshot, losing lock as it zoomed upward into dead sky. But Riley wasn't done. She slammed full throttle again. The C-17 surged upward, and barely missed colliding with the attacking fighter by meters. The fighter panicked, trying to evade. Too late. He spiraled out, losing control, and smashed into the side of a distant ridge. Pierce exhaled shakily. That's two. Riley nodded, her voice low. One more. The ace. The third enemy jet stayed far back. Watching. Studying. Waiting for mistakes. He knew she was good. He knew she flew like someone who'd lived this sky before. He rolled once, slow and deliberate, like a silent challenge. A message only an experienced pilot would understand. Pierce felt it too. He's the ace. The real threat. Riley's heartbeat slowed. Her hands steadied. Her eyes narrowed. I know, she whispered. Her past. The one she tried to escape. The one she buried when she chose cargo over combat. Caught up with her in that split second. She recognized his flying style. A signature. A rhythm. A ghost from her fighter days. And for the first time since takeoff, Captain Riley Thorne felt fear. Real fear. He's not here for the wounded, she whispered. Pierce frowned. Then who? Riley kept her eyes locked on the third fighter. He's here for me. The third fighter hung in the sky like a shadow that refused to move. Not attacking. Not retreating. Just waiting. Predators didn't rush. They studied. Riley had done the same once, before everything changed. Pierce checked the scope again. He's hovering at medium range, keeping us boxed. Why isn't he closing in? Riley didn't answer. Because she knew. You didn't rush someone whose flying felt familiar. You confirmed the kill before taking it. Her heartbeat thudded in her ears. Pierce squinted at the jet. It's a Raven 9. Only a few countries fly those. And only their elite pilots get them. Riley exhaled slowly. I know who flies them. Pierce blinked. You're telling me you recognize the pilot? Riley nodded barely. Pierce stared at her as if seeing her for the first time. Captain, who the hell are you really? The past she buried. The C-17 slipped between mountain ridges as Riley forced it lower, scraping treetops to stay hidden. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled ever so slightly on the controls. I wasn't always transport, she said. I used to fly combat aircraft. F-15s. Eagle Squadron. Call sign Valkyrie. Pierce's jaw dropped. You were Valkyrie? The Valkyrie? The one who... Drop it, Riley said curtly. But he couldn't. No one could. Captain, you were a legend. You and your wingmen were. Her breath caught. Wingmen. TIE Masters. The memory hit like a punch. Fire. Smoke. A radio scream. A wing torn apart. A fall from the sky she couldn't stop. Pierce saw her freeze for a moment. His voice softened. That's why you left fighters, isn't it? Riley focused straight ahead. Yes. But the sky didn't care about her trauma. And neither did the ace behind them. He dove suddenly, fast and deliberate. He knows you. The fighter dropped into a smooth attack line, The kind of line a student learned from a master. A line Riley had taught once. Pierce stiffened. Riley, he's flying your old school's patterns. No, she said quietly. He's flying my patterns. The ace fired a short cannon burst, not at them, but deliberately wide. A warning, Pierce whispered. He's sending a message. Riley nodded. She toggled the external camera. Zoomed in on the approaching jet. The sleek black Raven 9 had a marking near the cockpit. A white falcon crest. Riley's blood turned cold. No, it can't be. Pierce leaned closer. What is it? Riley's voice dropped to a whisper. That crest belonged to the only pilot who ever beat me in a duel. Pierce blinked. You mean? Yes, she breathed. Commander Cale Soren. Her rival. Her shadow. Her equal. Her, something she never dared name. And the last person who saw Time Masters alive. The ghost returns. The Raven 9 rolled once, smooth, elegant, unmistakable. A salute. A challenge. Pierce swallowed hard. He's calling you out. Riley steadied her breathing. Her heart hammered. She remembered that final mission 6 years ago. The day Ty died. Cale Soren was there. Flying in the enemy formation. Some said he caused Ty's death. Some said he tried to prevent it. Riley never knew the truth. Until now. She switched the C-17's radio to open broadcast. Raven 9, identify yourself. Static. Then a voice came through, calm, deep, unnervingly familiar. Valkyrie. Pierce's head snapped toward her. He knows your old call sign. Riley's skin crawled. Valkyrie. The voice repeated. I knew you would fly again. Memories crashed over her, flight school, rivalry, near kisses in hangars lit by moonlight, war tearing them apart. She forced steel into her voice. Soren. Why are you here? A pause. To finish what we started, he said. And to take you back. Pierce whispered, horrified. He wants to capture you. Riley stared at the Raven 9 closing in. No, she said. He wants to take me alive because he thinks I'll come willingly. Pierce swallowed. And will you? Riley's face hardened. Never. The first strike. Cale Soren's jet lit up, missile lock. Pierce panicked. He's firing. No, Riley muttered. He's not trying to kill us. He's trying to disable the engines. She yanked the controls. A missile streaked past, exploding behind them. The C-17 bucked violently, alarms lighting the cockpit. Cargo bay shouts echoed through the cabin. Medics fell to their knees as equipment rattled. Riley regained control by force of will alone. Soren circled above her like a hawk. Pierce gasped. We can't survive another pass. What do we do? Riley's eyes sharpened. We don't run. She pulled the C-17 into a turn so sharp the aircraft's frame groaned like it would tear apart. Pierce held on for dear life. Riley, we can't dogfight a fighter jet. We're not, Riley said. She reached for a control. A control nobody used in transports. The emergency lift dump flaps. Pierce's voice cracked. Riley, no! That'll stall us. That's the point. She flipped the switch. The C-17's nose dipped. The aircraft dropped like a falling building. Soren dove to follow. He didn't expect the stall. He overshot. And for the first time, Commander Cale Soren was in front of her. Riley had position. Pierce's eyes widened. You just forced the stall to get behind an ace fighter. Riley's voice was a whisper. This ends now. Her past. Her fear. Her guilt. Her unfinished story with Cale Soren. Everything. She pushed the throttle. The C-17 roared back to life. Chasing the ace fighter. Like a ghost who'd finally come back to finish the fight. Commander Cale Soren's Raven 9 streaked ahead of the C-17, sunlight flashing off its dark wings. For the first time in the fight he had lost position. For the first time in 6 years, Riley Thorne was behind him. Pierce gripped the seat. We actually have advantage on an elite fighter jet. With a cargo plane. How is this real? Riley didn't blink. It won't last, she murmured. He's too good. And she was right. Soren rolled his Raven 9 into a climbing spiral, precise and effortless, trying to shake her. Even damaged, even outmatched, his jet danced in the sky like a blade weaving through smoke. Riley held steady. The C-17 groaned, metal straining against forces no engineer intended. But she stayed on him. Just like old times. Just like their practice duels. Except this time, the stakes were real. Soren's voice crackled through the radio again. Valkyrie, you can't win this. You know that. Riley's jaw tightened. Winning's not the point. Then what is? She stared straight ahead. Getting my people home. A long silence. Then, regret? Sadness? Respect? It flickered in Soren's voice. I never wanted this fight. Riley's chest tightened. You fired the first shot, Kale. Because command demanded you brought in alive. Pierce froze. Alive? Why? Kale answered before Riley could speak. To use her. To break her. She's the only pilot who ever escaped us, and the only one who knows what happened that day. Riley's breath hitched. She didn't want to hear this. She didn't want to relive it. But Kale wasn't done. Valkyrie. Time Masters didn't die because of me. Her pulse spiked. Pierce whispered. Riley, this is about your wingman, isn't it? She ignored him. Tell me the truth, she said quietly, voice trembling. Did you shoot him down? Kale didn't hesitate. No. One word. Steady. Cold. Certain. Riley's eyes stung. Then why did he fall? Kale's answer cut through the sky like a blade. Because he saved you. Her world stopped. The day Time Masters died. Kale spoke as he flew, voice steady and merciless. You never saw the drone tracking near 6. Ty did. He broke formation to intercept it. Riley's breath came shallow. But he wasn't supposed to break formation. He was protecting you, Valkyrie. Riley's eyes burned. She had believed for years that she wasn't fast enough, that she wasn't skilled enough, that she could have saved him if she hadn't hesitated. Kale's voice softened, something she had never heard in war. His jet took the hit meant for yours. You weren't responsible. Her throat closed. Why didn't anyone tell me? Kale's tone hardened. Because a broken Valkyrie was less dangerous. Pierce whispered, horrified. They wanted you to quit. She was the only pilot who could outfly me, Kale said. And they feared a future war with your country. The truth hit her like a missile. She hadn't quit because she was traumatized. She'd quit because she was lied to. Her grief had been engineered. Her guilt had been weaponized. Pierce looked at her with shock and awe. Riley, what do we do now? She wiped her eyes with the back of her glove. What did she do? She flew. The final fight. Kale's Soren dove suddenly, pulling 9.5 GS, trying to shake her before she could process the truth. But Riley wasn't broken anymore. Not confused. Not haunted. The weight she'd carried for 6 years fell away in a single exhale. Time Masters didn't die because she failed. He died because he chose to protect her. And she wouldn't waste that sacrifice. She threw the C-17 into a turn that would have shredded another pilot. The aircraft screamed. Warning lights flashed red. But she held the line. Pierce shouted, Riley, we're going to break apart. No, she whispered. We're going home. She dropped the C-17 under Kale's jet, so close she could see his helmet turn. She flew underneath him. Right into his blind spot. Kale cursed on the radio. Valkyrie, don't do this. You said I couldn't win? You can't. Good. I'm not here to win. I'm here to end it. She rolled the C-17 sideways. A massive steel wing scraping Kale's trajectory. Cale panicked. He yanked up. Too sharp. Too fast. Too desperate. The Raven 9 stalled. It flicked upward, lost lift, and spiraled out of control. Cale ejected a split second before impact, chute opening as his jet smashed into the ocean below. Pierce stared at her in disbelief. You just beat the best pilot in the enemy Air Force with a cargo plane. Riley exhaled shakily. No, she said softly. I just found myself again. The last flight home. The C-17 crossed into friendly waters. Escort fighters rose to meet them. The base radio crackled to life. C-17, welcome home. We thought we lost you. Riley smiled. Not today. She lowered the wheels. The runway rushed into view. The giant aircraft touched down hard but steady. Skidding, smoking, shaking. But safe. Inside, medics cheered. Wounded soldiers cried. Pierce laughed in pure disbelief. Riley sat back, eyes closing. For the first time in years, she felt peace. As the engines wound down, Pierce spoke softly. Captain, what now? Riley opened her eyes. Looked at the sunset. Looked at the runway. Looked at the sky she loved but once feared. Now? She smiled faintly. I fly again. She stood, walking toward the ramp. Because this time, I'm going home.